Grab your beverage and your planner and let's reset for May. Hey everyone, so I am in a brand new place. Well, it's not new, it's my mother-in-law's house, but you've never seen me here before. These are blackout curtains. I'm sitting on the bed. This is someone's childhood bedroom. I don't know whose, but there is a penguin. We have been traveling. We had a kid who had an event this weekend, and so my mother-in-law took all my kids, and now we're staying here for the night, and we'll head home tomorrow. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. But if you're new around here, my name is Lydia, and I talk about frugal and simple living, how to save time, how to save money, and once a month I sit down and I share with all of you what I enjoyed, what's working for me, things that I loved, books that I read, and what didn't work. And I always wrap up at the end with some journal prompts, and so I would love for you to, like I said, grab a beverage and your planner and let's just plan a little life together. So April was one of those months that's so busy it doesn't feel like you accomplished anything, and I don't know if that resonates with you, but it's like you are in the machine of your life moving forward, and then you have to look back at your Google Calendar and your pictures to see what the heck actually happened. And also it feels like this is the month where everything in my house broke, even my brain. Start with the recap of the month. I touched on this briefly, but we found out we had a $500 water bill and a leak in our yard. And so my husband was able to fix that leak and take care of that, but we still have the water bill because they wouldn't adjust it. Our washing machine broke. It filled up with water and then died. And so we ended up having to buy a new washing machine. Also, I feel like the smell, so the water sat there for over 24 hours filled with dirty laundry. And then my husband had to shop vac it out, and it's like the smell of that dirty water still lives somewhere in my brain. But I got a brand new Whirlpool. My last Whirlpool lasted me 16 years, and I told him I feel like we're an advertisement for them. Our television broke in our living room, and I told my husband we're not replacing it for a while. The kids watch too much TV. Let's do without, and so far it's been fine. Nobody's cried, nobody's died. We're good. We finished our homeschool co-op the end of April. We do 26 weeks, and so that wrapped up, and then we will continue to do school through the summer. So May, June, and July we'll take time off, but 3 days a week we do math and reading. There's a lot of learning loss that occurs over the summer, and I want to keep our learning trajectory going. And so yeah, we slow down, but we don't quit. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we do school, and then we'll have Monday and Friday off, so that's nice. Went to the eye doctor. Turns out I'm not crazy. I really can't see anything. I had beyond perfect vision in my right eye, and my left eye is just limping along like the little old lady that I am. And my obstetrician said, I think that's why you're getting headaches, because this eye is having to work so hard to help this one see. So now I have a cute pair of glasses that I can't drive in because it makes me throw up. I'll get used to them. I probably should be wearing them right now. I've been wearing them to read and to look at my computer and to look at my phone, but they're a lot to get used to. It's a strong prescription. One of the things that I enjoyed in April was going out on dates with my kids. So a lot of one-on-one time with them. That is something that my husband and I have always tried to prioritize. And I honestly feel like that's why our family had to cap out at 4 kids, because I'm sure other people, I only speak for myself, can absolutely give one-on-one attention to all of their children if they have more than 4. I don't know that I could. And so that's something that I do every day, is I make sure that I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with them, but it's also nice to take them places. And so I took my 11-year-old to an orchestra. The Mobile Pops came and did a show at the library. So behind the library in this beautiful area by this pond, it was absolutely gorgeous. And they did Heroes and Villains. And last time we went in the fall, it was cartoon music. And my son said, what if this time it's Star Wars? And I said, well, it's probably not going to be Star Wars. Guess what they opened up with? The Imperial March, because it was heroes and villains. Anyway, they did Ride of the Valkyrie. They did some of the music from Batman. Did you know that Prince actually wrote some of the music for the Michael Keaton Batman movie that they recorded on a separate album? And it's like jazz infused Latin. It's stunning. I learned that at the Mobile Pops. But my point is, we can find amazing, wonderful things to do with our kids that don't cost money by seeing what is going on in our communities. And where I live is the rural South. I wouldn't say that it is rich with cultural experiences. And so the cultural experiences my kids have are because I've had to go out and find them. And so you better believe that if there is an opportunity at a museum, at a musical event, at a concert, at a play, we are there. We also went to see a lovely high school stage production of Don't Let Pigeon Drive the Bus at our local virtual school. And it was so cute because it mixed puppets with live actors. These kids poured their hearts and soul into it. And it was such a fun experience. My daughter has continued to talk about it. I found her a poster for one of the shows, asked if we could take it. They said sure, so that we could put it up in her room. And that was just the highlight of that child's month. It's so funny because I find out about these things at a local coffee shop called Soul Caffeine. They have a few locations throughout the Mobile, Baldwin County area, which is in South Alabama where I live. And I saw the posters for both the Mobile Pops and Don't Let Pigeon Drive the Bus at that coffee shop. And here's a funny story. I was standing in the shop getting a cup of coffee. I look out the window and I see my friend who has just had a baby. She's waving at me through the drive-through window, and I run out to talk to her. And then I was like, I actually have to go back inside because I have to leave. I'm going to be late for one of our appointments. Well, I told the people inside, hey, I'm going to come back in 30 minutes and get this coffee. And they were like, fine, we'll make it for you later. Then my friend Braden was like, no, you're not. I'm bringing it to you now. She knew where I was going. She picked up my coffee. She brought it to my child's appointment so that I could have it in my car while I waited, because she knows how much time I spend at these therapy clinics. And it was like, thank you, Lord, for sending me this friend. Moms helping moms. I also did something that I haven't done in years, and that was singing with a group in public. So I went to college on a vocal scholarship. I sang in my college choir, and then that was the end of my singing career because something happened. The competitive atmosphere of a collegiate choir just killed my desire to sing. And my church did an Easter choir program for the first time in years. And my friend who brought me the coffee, her husband is the music minister, and he asked if I would be a part of the choir. And I sang in my church choir at Easter, and I absolutely loved it. And I think I'm going to find like a local community choir to join, because it was so wonderful to sing in 5-part, sometimes 6-part harmony with another group of adults, to learn a piece together, to sing with a common goal. It made me excited in a way that I haven't felt in a really, really long time. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on this year was finding more hobbies that had nothing to do with work or my kids or my home, like just things that made me feel like a human being. And this was one of those. And so I think I'm going to see if there's like some sort of adult chorus out there. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on to things that I enjoyed in April. So I read 2 books in April, and I watched a show that I'm going to tell you about. So the first book that I read was The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. So The Maid, she's written 3 books and a novella, and I've read all 3 of the books and the novella, which was a Christmas novella that came out this year. And they're cozy mysteries. I know I get into some weird stuff when I read. I know that. But these are, if you like a cozy mystery, these are great. It's about a maid who works in a hotel in New York City. She's a little bit on the spectrum and she solves murders. And so this one had kind of a dual storyline about her and her dead grandmother. And so there was the past chapters and the present chapters. And I will say that I enjoyed the present chapters a little bit more, but it was still such a sweet book that always has a nice little bow on the end of it. The second book I read, which was one you had highly recommended to me, and I was waiting for it to become available on Libby, and it was The Women by Kristin Hannah. And so if you don't know what this book is about, it's fictionalized versions of real life stories about women who were nurses during the Vietnam War, and their stories remain untold, like a lot of women's stories do. Women have always played a huge part in history, and their stories are marginalized. And so this was about the experience of one nurse in Vietnam named Frankie and a few of her friends, and how she joins the army, the tragedy that led her to do this, her experience in Vietnam as a nurse, her experience afterward with PTSD and not being recognized for her contribution, and just how life pans out for her. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I read it in a little more than 24 hours. I wanted to know how things ended for Frankie. I wanted to know how her story ended. I wanted to know what happened to the side characters. I just wanted to know. It was so compelling. Now, if you've ever read anything by Kristin Hannah, sometimes her writing can get a little frustrating because she puts her characters through the ringer. And as you're reading it, you're like, come on, this much stuff cannot happen to one person. But then when you think about your own life and how much just life you've been through, yeah, that much stuff can happen to one person. And so I really enjoyed it. It is sad. I physically cried about 5 different times. I'm not even exaggerating. There's a lot of death. It probably should come with some content warning, like trigger warnings, I should say. But there were times when I full out wanted to just strangle the main character and scream in her face, make better choices. But I saw the whole point. I saw what was happening. And when you get to the end, you see the cohesive story and maybe why she made some of the decisions that she made. I had most of the people, when I talked about it on Instagram, I would say 90% of the people said, oh my gosh, I loved this book. It was amazing. And there were only 2 or 3, just a handful that said it wasn't for me. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, so a couple books that I'm reading in May. One of them that I've already started is Horror Movie by, who's it by? I don't remember. The guy that wrote The Cabin at the End of the World. And so it's about like a cult horror movie a la Blair Witch Project, but not the whole movie was released because a mystery happens. So I started it this weekend and I've enjoyed it so far. The second book is By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult. I found it at the library. I had actually been wanting to read it because I follow her on TikTok and I love all of her content. And I've read The Breakdown Lane and a few other books that she's written. But this is about a playwright in today's world, and then a playwright during the time of Shakespeare who may or may not be Shakespeare. And what drew me to this book is that it pissed people off on TikTok because they didn't like the whole storyline before they had even read it. And then once the book reviewers that I trust started reading it, they were like, nope, it's great. So I'm interested to see, is it great? I'm sorry I keep touching my hair, but it keeps flying into my mouth. Moving on to TV shows. Show that I have loved for years finally wrapped up on Apple TV, and that is Mythic Quest. So it ended its 4th season, and I love the way it ended, but here's something interesting. We'll get to that in a second. So it is about people who work at a video game company, as game programmers, testers, and then behind the scenes. It is a weird show. It's not for everyone, but I absolutely loved it. And I had read that Apple had released one finale and it was too much of a cliffhanger, and so they actually ended up editing it and re-releasing it. I didn't see the original one, but I really loved the way that the show ended. So it's 4 seasons, they're 30-minute episodes. It's one of those shows that as you start watching it, you're like, where is this going? And then it's so funny. It got me through the pandemic, to be quite frank with you, and I have loved it ever since. The second show that Jason and I have started watching is The Pit on Max. So it stars Noah Wyle, and it's almost like a second act to ER. He plays a different character, but a doctor in an emergency room. And it takes place over the course of one day. So it's a 15-hour shift and 15 episodes. And we are halfway through. I have loved every single second of it so far. And my brother-in-law is an ER nurse, and Jason asked, is it accurate? And he said it is so accurate. So I have really loved it. Some things that I am really looking forward to. A wild card on Peacock is coming back. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I have been watching The Last of Us. I have not started episode 3 yet, but episode 2, I wasn't ready. And I have friends who play the video game and they knew what was coming and I didn't. So thank you for not spoiling that for me. And then don't you dare judge me for saying this, but my trashy guilty pleasure last year was Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And I'm excited for it to come back. I know what it is. I know it's trash. Mindless gutter trash. And I ate it all up. And I will do that again. Thank you. Okay, my life is hard sometimes. And I want to just veg out. I also got this little stair stepper. So when I watch my trashy TV shows, I get on my stair stepper and I pretend like I am a hamster keeping the TV running. And I didn't do a very good job because the one in the living room broke. As always, we wrap up these videos with 2 journal prompts, and I would love to know your answer to these in the comments below. But the first one is, May can be a really busy time for parents. How are you mentally preparing yourself for the battle that is May? So in May, we've had a karate tournament. We will have a gymnastics jamboree, piano recital, ballet recital. One kid has a birthday. And then we've already gotten 2 birthdays on the docket for friends. So and a tubing trip for my boys' outdoor group. So pretty busy month. And how I am preparing is by practicing bare minimum Mondays. And I'm going to do a bare minimum Monday vlog to show you what I mean by that. And that is setting myself up for success ahead of time so that Monday can be as restful as possible. So when I order groceries, I know, okay, on Monday, I want an easy breakfast for my kids. I want a dinner that can go in the crock pot, and kind of setting myself up on the weekends to clothes laid out. I know what I'm going to wear. Things are easy peasy on Monday because Monday is a busy day. My daughter has 3 therapies on Monday. We have karate on Monday. One Monday a month, we have 2 karates on Monday because my kid is advanced to this special program. So it can be a busy day unless I'm intentional. And so I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm not focusing on Mondays. This is what I am focusing on Mondays. And second, intentional movement, because I know how much getting outside and walking, going to the gym, all of these things, how much they have lifted my spirits and my focus and my mental health. And so making sure that May is a month where I could be worn down, and then we go right into camp the first week of June. So I've got to make sure that I'm keeping myself physically and mentally in tip-top shape. So what is my intentional plan to move this week? And then continuing that throughout the month of May. Also making sure that my Google Calendar is set, the reminders are there, the alarms are there, and planning for summer. which brings me to my next question is, what are you looking forward to this summer and how can you prepare for it now? So this summer, we're wrapping up, we're not doing a ton of extracurriculars this summer. My son will still do karate. My daughter will still have her daily therapy through July, and then she graduates. So she'll just have some therapies throughout the week, but she won't have that every single day. And we are proud of ourselves and our therapists and all of it. She's meeting so many goals, and I could just cry, and I do cry a lot. I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of me, and I'm proud of my husband, and I'm proud of everybody. So I'm just looking forward to pool days, picnics, taking them babies to the beach, maybe going on a couple weekend trips. And how am I preparing for it now? By saving money, by cooking things that go in my freezer that I can pull out and throw in the crock pot, by gathering up art supplies and zoo passes and fun things to do that don't cost me an arm and a leg, and being a little bit intentional and having days where I'm gonna plan things and days where we're gonna sit at home and play in the sprinkler and eat popsicles. Because motherhood, like childhood, is meant to be enjoyed, not overscheduled to the point where we run ourselves ragged. Okay, so thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. There are a lot of ways you could choose to spend your time, and it means a lot that you spend it with me. My mother-in-law just came home with some Chinese food for me, so I'm gonna go eat it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon.